So, warm greetings, and we'll continue with our mindfulness of breathing. And one of the ways of approaching mindfulness of breathing is to appreciate its simplicity. And that it's a simplicity that if you stay constant with it, it becomes a continuity, a thread running through your life, through the meditation. It tends to reveal a lot. It's kind of like a reference point for understanding what's happening in our lives in a clearer way. And so the difficulties you might have with staying with the breath are as important as the breath meditation itself, because the function of breath meditation is to highlight some of the attitudes, some of the activities of the mind that are operating in daily life, but maybe we don't really see very well. And so definitely don't feel discouraged by the difficulties you have with mindfulness of breathing. But what I hope you can do is don't stop because of those difficulties, but rather just continue. Just trust that breathing. Trust the mindfulness of the breathing. Trust it more than you trust your discouragement or trust your distractions or trust your reactivity or disappointment or whatever it might be. Just simply trust, just staying with the breath, kind of coasting along. It's kind of like pushing a scooter along, that you might run into all kinds of challenges, going uphill, bumps, traffic, all kinds of things that might interfere with your progress on the scooter. You might feel disappointed, you might feel somehow it's not going well enough. And the important thing to do is to just keep pushing, just keep going. And because if you stop pushing the scooter with your foot, the scooter doesn't go anymore. The scooter doesn't care whether you feel excited or discouraged about pushing the scooter. It doesn't care whether you get attracted by the sights around you. All this, the scooter in a sense cares about is you keep pushing, keep pushing off. So in a kind of simple and almost even simplistic way, the function of meditation, of mindfulness meditation, is to reveal attitudes, impulses, distractions, tendencies of the mind which are common in daily life. And you can go, aha, there's my old friend, there it is again. But don't give in to it. Trust the breathing. Hold the course. Just stay there. And hopefully do so in a tranquil way, in an equanimous way, just a matter-of-fact way. To experience tranquility in meditation, there has to be tranquility. So allow yourself to be a little tranquil, to feel the tranquility regardless of what's happening, including if there's a buzz or sounds around you that are distracting, and just stay with the breathing. And if things seems important to attend to, breathe through them, breathe with them. Don't let anything be a reason to lose touch with your breathing. So, sitting upright in a literal or a metaphoric way, and gently closing your eyes. And before doing anything else, appreciate yourself for breathing. Appreciate your breathing. It's said that we breathe 23,000 times a day. It's one of the most regular things that you do, ongoing things that you do. And it provides a tremendous support for our lived life. And to simply feel and sense that breathing. And taking a few moments to familiarize yourself with the particular ways that you're breathing now, without any idea, hopefully, that it needs to be different or it's not quite right, or just familiarize yourself with how it actually is. Taking the time to get to know an old friend you haven't seen for a while. And then gently, ever so gently, maybe lovingly, take some slow, deeper breaths. When you inhale deeply, maybe appreciate the expansion of your rib cage, the stretching, the opening, the filling of your lungs. We breathe in by pushing the diaphragm down, which pushes the intestines and the lower belly out, if we're relaxed. And a long, slow, deep exhale. Maybe lovingly allowing the rib cage to contract, the diaphragm to relax. Appreciating whatever sense of release that comes with exhaling. Breathing in and breathing out. And then letting your breathing return to normal. And as a way of settling into the breathing more fully, see if you can relax your body. Relaxing the belly, relaxing downward into your pelvis, pelvic cavity. Relaxing in the shoulders, releasing the shoulders, the shoulder blade area. Softening the face, around the eyes, and then then softening in the mind. Softening, quieting your thinking. Letting go of your thoughts. And as you let go, turn your attention back to your body breathing. And then settle into your breathing, like you're settling in for the long term. Just the breathing. That each inhale and each exhale is a gentle push on the Dharma scooter, keeping you in the Dharma, in the present. And perhaps you can turn your trust over to your breathing. It isn't, or more appropriately, trust the mindfulness of your breathing, the awareness of breathing. Not so much aware from the control tower where you think, but aware from the body's vantage point, from the body's ability to sense the sensations of breathing. And if anything takes you away from your breathing, it's okay. Just recognize that. But continue with your breathing. Hold the course. It's more like everything else is just scenery that's passing by. Stay on the scooter. Stay with your breathing. It takes a tranquil mind to recognize tranquility. And somewhere within, some little corner at least, you might find some tranquility, some calmness. And perhaps that tranquility or calmness can support the continuity of awareness on breathing. So the awareness of breathing itself feels calm, has some peacefulness to it. With infinite patience. Ever so slightly, Have a small smile on your lips, turning up the corners of your mouth. And perhaps, in some modest way, you can feel more pleasure or enjoyment of sitting here, mindful of breathing, trusting your breathing. And as we come to the end of this sitting, perhaps whatever constancy, continuity you have with mindfulness of breathing can support the continuity, constancy of your goodwill, your kindness, your friendliness towards others. To trust friendliness, to trust goodwill, more than all the things that would convince you not to have it. And to reflect at the end of a period of meditation about how this meditation might, in some small or maybe big way, support you in bringing more goodwill, kindness, friendliness into your life, your daily life. So that it's not just wishful thinking, that we dedicate the benefit of the practice for the welfare and happiness of all beings. But it's also because we turn our attention to do so, to contribute to that possibility. May it be that whatever merit and benefit that has come from this practice, may it be for the welfare and happiness of all beings everywhere, including ourselves. May all beings be happy. May all beings be safe. May all beings be free. And may all beings delight in tranquility and peace. Continuing with the practice of mindfulness of breathing, I've covered the first 4 steps of the 16. And rather than continuing today with that into the 5th step, I think it's good to emphasize the importance of caring for one's attitude in meditation. And one of the inspirations for that today is to have an attitude of patience, to not succumb to any attitude of impatience, wanting more, eager to go further, wanting to somehow always feel like we're improving and getting more, learning something new. There's something quite simple about mindfulness of breathing, and maybe even something humble, that there's a kind of lack of greed or wanting more or expectation of more, a willingness. Instead, there's a willingness to just be ordinary and simple and be kind of in the, on the ground floor, and to be somehow a modest servant of the Dharma, modest servant of the practice, where we kind of give ourselves over to the practice the best we can. But trust the Dharma, trust this process. Just be willing to kind of offer the sincere way, our best we can, and then trust that what will unfold accordingly. And we don't have to be ahead of ourselves or looking ahead or planning ahead. And so mindfulness of breathing, one of the first lessons for many people is patience. Lots of patience. And if it's also a little bit of a trick, I suppose, maybe, to say this. It's true, it's completely true, what I'm saying. And it turns out that the fastest way to develop in meditation is to not be in a hurry. The fastest way to cultivate the receptivity, the openness, the calm, the subtleness that really allows the practice to unfold and deepen is not to be too concerned about unfolding and deepening. To be more concerned about just being content to sit patiently, openly, with what we actually have in the moment. To have a continuity with breathing as if it is, we're in it for the long term, as if, this is, our job is just to keep showing up and doing the best we can and let the progress take care of itself. So what I'm talking about here is an attitude. And a huge part of meditation is coming to terms, understanding and adjusting the attitude with which we meditate. And one of the advantages of meditation is that there's something about sitting quietly in meditation, doing something as simple as being with the breathing, that we start seeing attitudes we have that are invisible in daily life, or we don't really notice that well. Some of them because they're so subtle, some of them because they're so habituated, they've kind of become invisible to us. And certainly we don't see the subtlety in how it works. And so when we sit and meditate, we have this heightened sensitivity, and even the smallest movements to attitudes that take us away or interfere with the deepening, the settling, and just being there in a simple, relaxed, patient way, start standing out in highlight. Now, if a person has a tendency to be self-critical, when we sit in meditation, we can easily get much more material to use to criticize ourselves. If the mind wanders off a little bit too often, then I'm a wandering off kind of person, and that's not so good. Or if I am, aversive to what's happening, or if I'm too greedy and want something better, and I see that, then this is not a good Buddhist thing to be aversive and greedy, and now I'm embarrassment to the Buddhist cause, and so we're kind of berating ourselves. And start seeing these movements, these attitudes, these beliefs that come into play, and to recognize them as such. Oh, there's an attitude. There's an interpretation. There's a judgment. And it's kind of, the attitude has more like the way in which we hold our experience, the way, the disposition that we have, the way we feel, think, and respond. The manner, it's kind of like the manner by which we respond, the atmosphere with which we respond to things, and the way we think and feel. So, and so we start seeing these attitudes. And one attitude that I had early years of meditation was I was sitting in meditation halls with other people, and I would compare myself to them. I had no idea what was going on in their meditation, but still I had this attitude, the grass is greener elsewhere. That over there in that person, now that really was supposed to be good meditation, and why am I not there? And it was a silly attitude to have because I had no idea what was going on in them. it was just an attitude or kind of a belief that I carried with me. And it was more than a belief because it came with a whole kind of atmosphere of feeling sorry for myself, of feeling discouraged, of feeling somehow left out of what was really the important thing, what everyone else was experiencing. All these other attitudes were kind of beliefs were coming in, and I'd get caught up in them. And one of the things I was really delightful was to appreciate that I didn't have to solve these things. I didn't have to berate myself or be too involved in fixing them. I could just trust my breathing. Just come back and stay with breathing. Just stay and stay. And when I did that, the energy of attention went to feed mindfulness of breathing rather than feeding these attitudes. And all too often we reinforce unhealthy attitudes. Rumination, preoccupation, believing them, having them be the catalyst or the fuel for how we think about things. But just come back to breathing, trust the breathing, be really simple. And I had these images, for me it's just, that there's, you're on your scooter and you're pushing through and maybe there's a place where there's cobblestones, so it's a little bit rough to ride on it and it's not so comfortable. But you still, just keep pushing, and soon enough you come out of the cobblestones and then maybe the road is smooth again. And so attitudes. And I wanted to offer you a few attitudes or a few orientations that you might think are helpful for meditation. And so here's one. It's kind of a policy, attitude, understanding that you can kind of keep close by. It's enough to clearly recognize what is happening. It is not enough just to recognize what's happening in the present. Nothing needs to be fixed or changed. Just recognize. Patience with all that happens. It's good to have patience with whatever's happening. Being in a hurry is a form of greed. There is nothing to prove or resist in meditation. Every occurrence is a time to learn something new about being peaceful. So whatever is happening, you don't have to resist it, you don't have to prove anything in relationship to it. You don't have to defend yourself or explain yourself or justify yourself, berate yourself. It's just something new. It's just something that you can learn something new about how to be peaceful, how not to be caught, how to be not non-agitated about this. Another attitude is that you are a valuable person. Your well-being is important. And your capacity for attention is a treasure. No message that you are less than beautiful is worth believing. No message that you are less than beautiful is worth believing. And finally, trust the awareness that flows out of stillness. Trust the awareness that flows out of calm or tranquility, out of stillness. So these attitudes that I just kind of recited have in common that they promote a calm, non-reactive attention, including a calm, non-reactive attention to our reactivity. So this is kind of the the sleight of hand or the paradox or some people, it's the delight into their amusement, is that of course we're going to have reactivity. Of course we're not going to be calm. But can we be calm and non-reactive to that? And one way to do that is not to be too concerned about fixing things or trying to solve anything going on, but just come back and trust mindfulness of breathing. Just be with your breathe, the constancy, pushing the scooter of mindfulness, riding the wave of mindfulness, wave after wave, waves of breathing. And if something is particularly strong and therefore compelling for your mind to pay attention to, like some strong physical sensations, maybe pain, maybe strong emotions, maybe there's a strong bout of thinking goes on. One way to have some certain degree of tranquility with that is, and to stay with your breathing. So there's continuity, a constancy. It's like breathing becomes the background beat or the rhythm of your music that just kind of keeps it going. The rhythm of your poem. One way to do that is to breathe with what's compelling, breathe through it. So sometimes you really need to acknowledge what's happening. The full acknowledgement, mindfulness of what's compelling and challenging is really important. You can't just ignore it and push it aside. But it's possible to stay with the breathing and then breathe through and breathe with. One way to see this is to think of mindfulness of breathing as the center of your focus of attention, and anything else that needs some attending is you allow it to be in the peripheral vision of attention, in the peripheral attention. So it doesn't have to it doesn't have to capture your attention. It just has to be known that it's there, and you just keep going, just like you would on a scooter going through town. There's all kinds of things maybe you have to keep attentive to, the traffic, people, and all stuff, but they're a little more in the peripheral vision, and the central vision is just keeping your eye on where you're going with that scooter. So, where you're going with the scooter of mindfulness of breathing is on a long or short journey, on a journey that takes you to the next breath. That's all. One breath after the other. So enjoy your mindfulness of the breathing, and now we'll continue on this wonderful path that this breathing practice can take us. Thank you.